Hello, and welcome to Khyber Shards, a 5th edition actual play show set in the Eberron campaign world. It's Friday, so we have today another Khyber Shards Answers episode, and today we're doing another NPC Q&A where we take questions from our viewers directed toward the NPCs in the show. I've been really pleased with how popular some of the NPCs in our show have been and how well the players have gotten to interact with them, and really the building of the relationships has been a huge fun part of this campaign so far for me. So I really enjoy doing these every now and again. And so we're going to do another one today. So we're just going to dive right into some questions. Our first question comes from Nathan, who inquires of Falco. Question for Falco is an unusual one. What do you remember about the night when the map shop was robbed? I was just having, it was a late dinner with a few of my men and with Mace, and we see this burglar come blazing out of the map shop. So naturally, like any good citizen, we give chase. We give chase. Should have known it was too... The timing was just too suspicious. I should have been more on guard. Takes us around, down a blind alley. It was an ambush. It was set up. It was obviously there to trap me and my men. Killed some of them. They did. Aberrants. Aberrants just hate true marks. It was obviously an ambush. Some of them I think I knew from back in Blackwheel days. That explains it, I suppose. None of this would have happened if we'd finished the job. It's a bad idea from the start. But I've seen their faces now. It's not over. Our next question is from Richard and is directed toward Thora. What is your assessment of the group as individuals or as a team? Do you really trust them to train other Aberrants? I won't pretend they're not a little rough around the edges in terms of discipline. They've been on their own a long time, and it's not easy to jump back into being a part of something bigger than yourself. I think since we got them out of Blackwheel, they've been just working on survival, taking care of each other. And who's to blame them? I wouldn't want to do anything else. And they've been doing a little bit more than that from what I can tell. And that's not something that everyone would have done. A lot of those that we got out, that I know of, returned to crime, gone to mercenary work. I'm just going into hiding. But they didn't do that speaks well of them. So, they mean well. They need training. In terms of them training other Aberrants, I need to come up with a different word for that. I think they've all got useful skills that would be good for training, that they could share. I'm not sure they're quite prepared to teach others how to control their marks. Some of them still struggle with control of their own, and the others who have control, who have some level of control, it's rudimentary, and that's useful. If we find someone whose mark is out of control, it will be useful for them to be able to walk them through how to control. I need a team basic control. But I'm not really looking for them to teach that. I've got more experience teaching that particular skill. So I think they all have useful skills. Shade's very capable in the woods. I think Ezre's probably quite capable in the woods as well. And Paul, growing up in the Shadow March, is probably a fairly capable hunter himself. So there's a lot of survival training that I think they could bring to the table. Ezre's a musician, and not all the training at the school's got to be about your mark. So I think some training in artistic elements would be Ari's strength. Ezre's got a lot of knowledge about herbs and other botanical matters that could be very useful to the school as well as to others if he's willing to teach. I don't know how he feels about that part. I'm still feeling him out on that. So I don't really know what they'd teach if they choose to, but I think they all have things they could bring to the table. But I have other matters for them to attend to, and they're going to keep the school safe. We're going to need to hire some proper teachers, because I'm not equipped for it any more than they are. And it's got to be a real school if it's going to succeed. Mia has a few. Mia asks again of Thora, do you have children or nieces or nephews? You seem to have taken a motherly role with the gang very naturally, and I think it's very good for them. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I don't have much in the way of family anymore. I did, but you go into work in the military and that takes you away. And I went in fairly young. I had some siblings that I helped take care of around the house. I went into the military, became an officer, recruited into the Lanterns. It was always a career. They never got around to any point for having my own family. As to the way I am with them, you meet a lot of scared new recruits when you work in the fields that I've worked in. They need some comfort. They need also to be reminded that this isn't all fun and games. I think there's a degree to which this crew is going to need to learn more that it isn't all fun and games. But for now, while we're getting started, and they're getting used to me and getting to trust me, letting them have a bit more, letting them spin their wheels a little bit occasionally. There's no harm. You take things slowly. You take things gently. You earn the trust. And hopefully, at a certain point, they trust me well enough to take me a bit more seriously. But I appreciate that it seems like I'm doing a fine job with them. I'm trying. I'm really trying. Thora asked Carl, would you be interested in being the head cook for Grimalkin Academy? Hey, look, I'm a good cook, and I could do it, but I'm not a cafeteria chef, you know? I got my own business here. It's not much, but it's mine, and nobody's my boss. So if you going and working at a school where I'd have a boss, again, that doesn't really appeal to me, if you know what I mean. I like deciding my own things. So appreciate that offer if it came, and I'd be happy to help them get set up once I understand, what exactly the Grimalkin Academy is exactly. But they need some help setting up. Pog's good people. Do my best. But no, I'm not looking for a career change. And Mia asks, Solomon, what do you think about your recent passengers? Well, I tell you, you meet a lot of strange folk, when you're working on the river, and you meet a lot of strange folk when you're living in Stormreach. So I'm not sure I could say that it's the strangest passengers I've ever had on my boat, but it's close. And I appreciated the fare and the work, and I'm pretty content to just go back to my own things, and to take passengers that are less likely to discuss cannibalism on my boat, if you know what I mean. Also, I didn't much like the way that the Captain Smarget on the Black Freighter was looking at them. That's not the sort of trouble I need. Chivalry asks, Puzzle Test, what's the most interesting magical item you've ever come across? Oh, well, you see, in this world, they have this idea that not everything is magical, but of course everything has its own magical properties. You, me, the grass, the trees. So, to a certain degree, that question is rather a bit silly, but the most interesting magical item I've ever come across. Once, I was on a mission for the prince, and this, forgive me, it's too funny. This nobleman, somewhere, I don't remember where, this nobleman was unappreciative of all that he had, left things lying around. And I had stolen many a thing from his palace by this point. But once the prince sent me to leave a pair of gloves and make a swap. So I took a pair of gloves he was particularly fond of, and I replaced them with a pair of gloves that he could never take off. They just bonded to his skin just as soon as he put them on. And he could never take them off. And so he never got to experience what things felt like on his fingers ever again. It was deeply hilarious. And Cal, how do you feel about the fact that the gang didn't bring your couch from the treehouse to the academy? Well, there are many comfortable things in the new building. It is less tree-like than I would prefer, but I'm not one to complain. There are large trees nearby if I need to get away from the stone hills that they make. But there are many comfortable seats and cushions, and I'm gradually making them all mine. So in many ways, while they did not bring my couch, they did bring me to a place with many other couches that can now be mine. And we have a large batch of questions from Laura. Laura would like to know, Solarka, if you could visit any place on Eberron, where would you go? And would you take Pog? I have heard of a range of mountains in the far north of Corvair, in a place where many dwarves live called the Mror Holds. I believe the stories say that our people originated in mountains far to the south, in deep in Zindrik. And I have always wondered about that, because I have always lived on the Skyfall Peninsula, near and in the Stormreach, and I have always wondered about the mountains. So I think I would like to go and see the Maror Holds. I, the descriptions of mountains are always very beautiful to me. So I would go to the mountains in the Maror Holds. I think there are other mountains, but I'm told that in the Maror Holds, many of the mountains have snow on them all year round, and I have never seen snow, and I would really, dearly like to see snow. Yes, I would take Pog, if you wanted to go. I mean, it would be nice to get away. You know, just I haven't been away from my family for any length of time. It would be nice to see the world for myself, you know, and to take Pog would be nice because, well, he's Pog. It would be good to see things through his eyes as well. Puzzle Dust, Laura asks. Clearly, things like how this place keeps time don't make sense. What are some other things that you find bewildering? Oh, so many things. Yes, the time is very strange. The day and night seem to move around. But I think the most alarming thing is the way the people just don't know what their role is. People always seem very, very concerned about what they're going to do next and what they're supposed to do next. And I don't understand why they don't just ask their Archfey. In my world, you see, all the Archfey are part of the story, and we're all part of the same stories that the Archfey are part of, and so, for me, it's just a matter of playing my role. And I don't know why everyone else in this world can't seem to just play their own role. Why they're constantly worried about trying to make it up themselves. I mean, not everyone can improvise. So, everyone in my world knows who they are and what their role is, or nearly everyone. And so the idea of not knowing is deeply troubling to me. And I can't imagine how people do with it on a daily basis. It's just utterly absurd. Laura wants to know, from Zot, has any food been stolen from your cart recently? Why do you want to know about my cart? I mean, no, I don't think so. Everyone comes to my cart, pays. That's how food works. That's how a food cart works. You pay, and you get food. Why? You know someone who's been stealing from my food cart? I'll give them what for. Laura asks Levexi, if you had one use of the wish spell, what would you wish for? Well, one thing that I always wanted was, I see lots of people in Stormreach wearing hats. But they don't make hats that fit my head. So I think it would be really cool to have a hat that fit my head shape. I think I'd look really good in a hat. Maybe with a big feather in it. That would be good. I really think
I would look good in a feather. Maybe a hat made entirely of feathers. This is a good idea. Maybe my next mask, when I make another mask, can be a hat full of feathers. Don't know. But I don't think that's what I would wish for. Because I can make that. Or somebody can make that. I think what I would wish for, I would wish for my clan back. I miss them. I mean, the Rebel Warden clan is good, but they all go home at night, and then it's just kind of me. And I don't like that very much. It's not very safe to be alone when you're a kobold. So I would very much like to have my clan back, so that I have a place to stay and people to belong to. I think that's what I would wish for.
And Laura asks, Tommel, is the whole animals being scared of you thing useful for jungle travel? Look, it's not something I'm thrilled about. It's just always been that way. Well, ever since my mark manifested. But it's not exactly that they're scared of me. It's that they're uneasy around me. Sometimes that means little things get out of my way, but sometimes that can mean big things come looking for you. So it's not what one would call an unalloyed good, if you know what I mean. There were two other questions, but I'm going to leave those for in story because I think they'll be more interesting to explore within the realm of the story rather than outside. So those are our questions. I want to thank you all so much for providing them. I always enjoy reading the questions, and it's fun to get to do little brief role plays about trivia, mostly about characters, but it also gets to get a little bit of good characterization, and it fleshes it out because we can't do every single moment of the characters' lives effectively in our episodes. So it's nice to be able to get a chance to do that. And it's fun to see characters that we haven't seen on the episodes in a bit crop back up. So I appreciate the questions for obscure characters. But man, I will say, as a person who likes doing voices, jumping in rapid succession between a lot of different voices is not very easy. There are some voices that are particularly challenging to jump between. Puzzle Dust and anything is hard to jump between. Also, real weird on the back of my throat right now from doing Levexi and Puzzle Dust, which are both very back at the throat. Anyway, thank you so much for questions. I hope this amuses you. This was a crazy week as far as scheduling, so it just made sense to take care of to knock one of these out with just me. We'll probably be a little bit chaotic on the KSA episodes over the next couple of months because we'll have holiday travels starting to come, and some of our cast will be traveling pretty extensively for the holidays. So we may miss a couple of weeks, or I may do some solo episodes, or may do something else interesting. I don't know. If you got some ideas, I'd love to hear them for what we could do with episodes when we're during the holiday, when we have a bit of a crazy time trying to schedule things. What are some things you'd find interesting to see in short little episodes like this on a Friday? Because I'm open to some ideas if you got them. In the meantime, you can get in touch with us on our Discord or on any of our social medias, all of which you can find links to in the link down below. You can also get in touch with us via comments down below, and we really do appreciate any of the engagement buttons that you're up for clicking. All of them help feed algorithm, our benign, of course, benign? Yes, entirely benign overlord in allowing his great wisdom to spread the word to other potential viewers. We're always looking for more. Thank you so much. This has been Khyber Shards. Thanks for rolling with us.